and welcome address. Please help me welcome Professor Abdullahi Baba Salifu as he walk up here. We're not stopping clapping until he gets here.
I don't know whether my voice is deeper than yours, but whatever it is, distinguished Honorable Minister and other senior government officials who are here, honorable members of Parliament, I thought I saw the Honorable Adomaku also. Am I right? Exactly, yeah, I saw you somewhere. Welcome, sir. Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, representatives of the United States Department of Energy, directors, generals, and senior officials of Africa's nuclear research and allied institutions, leaders of nuclear regulatory authorities and nuclear power programs, industry leaders and development partners, members of academia, technical and vocational institutions, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here this morning and an honor to welcome you to Accra, the capital of the Republic of Ghana, and to this important gathering, the US-Africa Nuclear Summit 2026 edition. Let me, at the onset, express our profound appreciation to the United States Department of Energy, particularly its Office of Nuclear Energy, for its participation and partnership with Ghana in convening this important summit. And of course, to all of our African and international partners whose presence has given this gathering its truly continental and global character. I also wish to commend the organizer and in particular the Ghana Regional Training Center for creating this important platform for dialogue, knowledge exchange, and practical cooperation around one of the most consequential questions that's facing Africa's nuclear future. And that is, how do we build, sustain, and secure the human capacity required to make our nuclear ambitions a reality? Ghana is deeply honored to host this summit at a time when a growing number of African countries are looking to nuclear energy as an important component of their future energy systems and broader development strategies. We meet here in Accra because Africa's energy future demands that we think boldly, we act responsibly, and we work together. Across our continent, the demand for reliable, affordable, and sustainable electricity is rising rapidly. Our ambitions for industrialization, economic transformation, technological advancement, and improved quality of life cannot be achieved without a dependable energy foundation. It is in this context that nuclear energy is assuming an increasing importance in African development conversation. Ghana has chosen to contribute to these continental efforts. We are exploring nuclear energy not as an alternative to Africa's other energy resources, but as an additional and potentially important pillar of a diversified, reliable, and sustainable energy mix. In doing so, Ghana joins a growing community of African nations that are seeking to develop the knowledge, institutions, skills, partnerships that are all necessary to harness the peaceful atom for development. That is precisely why this summit is so important. We are not here simply to discuss nuclear reactors or technologies. We are here to discuss Africa's capacity to make nuclear energy work. And if it has to work safely, securely, responsibly, and of course, sustainably. For far too long, Africa has been a continent of paradoxes. We possess some of the world's richest natural resources, yet we remain the most energy poor on the continent. On Earth, if I want to say so. Nearly 600 million of our brothers and sisters still lack access to electricity. Those who have access often face unreliable supply, frequent blackouts that cripple businesses, disrupt education, and of course undermine the quality of life. We in Africa should not continue to be defined by this. Indeed, we must be defined by our resolve, especially would be home to a quarter of the world's population. The energy needs of this fifth magnitude of an African future would be immense, and they will not be met by the energy systems of the past. Nuclear energy offers a way forward. Indeed, projections indicate that our continent could add up to some 15,000 megawatts of nuclear capacity by the year 2035, representing an investment pipeline of nearly 105 billion United States dollars. This is not a distant dream. Egypt's El Daba nuclear power plant is under active construction. South Africa has a mandate for some 5,200 megawatts of new capacity. Kenya is targeting its first 1,000 megawatt plant. Rwanda is on course for an operational small modular reactor by the early 2030s. This venue, Labadi Beach Hotel, the technology conference that was held here, our chief of staff announced that government's decision to integrate 1,000 megawatts of nuclear power in Ghana's energy mix by 2030 is on course. That announcement has reaffirmed the country's commitment to nuclear energy as a strategic pillar for enhancing energy security. Of course, therefore, supporting industrialization and advancing sustainable economic development. In Ghana, we are steadily progressing towards completion of phase 2 of our nuclear power program under the IAEA milestones approach. We are no longer merely talking about nuclear power. We are indeed preparing to live it. Key institutions have been established, including the nuclear would be the operator. We are indeed also engaging local and international partners. In short, ladies and gentlemen, Ghana is ready. Can I repeat that? Ghana is ready. Ghana has deliberately positioned itself as a regional hub for nuclear workforce development. In 2023, the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ghana Atomic Energy Center, which has since delivered specialized training in integrated energy systems, energy modeling, leadership, stakeholder engagement, and project management for participants from Ghana and across Africa. Complementing this effort under auspices of the U.S. Department of State's foundational infrastructure for responsible use of small modular reactor technology. It's quite a mouthful, but the acronym is FIRST, F-I-R-S-T. Yeah, so the first program in Ghana, in fact, under that auspices, Ghana commissioned Africa's first new-scale full-scope energy exploration center and launched an internationally accredited welding instructor certification program in partnership with the Design and Technology Institute. Together, these initiatives underscore Ghana's commitment to developing the skilled workforce needed for nuclear power and other strategic infrastructure projects, while positioning the country as a center of excellence for capacity building on the continent as well. In Ghana, we remain firmly committed to supporting the Africa Regional Cooperation Agreement for Research and Development and Training, which is related to nuclear science and technology, the critical shortage of skilled professionals across the entire value chain, from scientists, engineers, to regulators and technicians. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, technology and its access to funding and, of course, financing alone do not and will not determine how successful we build and operate nuclear power plants in a safe and secure manner. We often speak of nuclear energy in terms of reactors, megawatts, technology, financing, fuel cycles, and of course, infrastructure. Of course, these are important, but behind every reactor, behind every energy reactor is a scientist. And behind every safety decision is a trained professional. Behind every regulatory license should be a competent regulator. Behind every operating procedure is a team of engineers, technicians, and operators, and managers. And of course, behind the sustainability of our entire nuclear program is something even more fundamental. That is people and the institutions. The decisive factor, therefore, that is the element that will determine whether Africa's nuclear ambition succeeds or stalls, is the human capital. it is indeed the workforce. The International Atomic Energy Agency has identified human resource development as part of its 19 essential nuclear infrastructure pillars. Without it, nuclear programs cannot be safe, they cannot be reliable, they cannot be truly African. The IAEA's sovereign statistics indicate that 80% of significant nuclear incidents result mainly from human error, underscoring the gravity of this challenge. This is why this summit's theme, Building and Sustaining Africa's Nuclear Workforce, is not only timely, it is essential. It is the very foundation upon which our nuclear future would be built. The workforce gap is just a single great, I will say, is the single greatest systemic risk to the delivery of every megawatt in our pipeline. 46% of surveyed nuclear companies globally report hiring difficulties as causing operational bottlenecks and, of course, project delays. 25% of the global workforce is over the age of 55, compressing the available pool of experienced professionals. Labor shortage in technical and vocational roles are projected to be 35% higher by 2030 and than they will be today. Clearly, with Africa's first of a kind projects, investing in the right workforce from the onset would constitute the primary mitigation against this risk. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, beyond the skills gap, there are definitely also significant infrastructural deficiencies. This will include inadequate grid systems, safety measures, security requirements, and transport infrastructure. There is unbridled, unmitigated, persistent threat of brain drain, largely drawn by salaries and greater opportunities. Our training efforts must therefore be accompanied with employment opportunities and credible career pathways if our skilled personnel are to remain engaged domestically. From a continental perspective, and I want to stress this one, from a continental perspective, I think that Africa should not approach nuclear development as a collection of isolated national projects. There is enormous value in regional cooperation. No African country needs to build every element of a nuclear enterprise entirely on its own. Similarly, no country builds a nuclear workforce alone. There's a lot that we can share. For example, we can share training infrastructure, we can share research facilities, we can share specialized expertise, we can share simulation and laboratory capabilities. We can even share regulatory experience. The list goes on. Indeed, but the most important thing is that we can also share, I would say, learned experiences. That's while you operate the system for a long time, there's definitely something you can share with those who are yet to go into that enterprise. This is where Ghana believes it has a responsibility to contribute, as previously alluded to. Our regional training center and our wider institutional infrastructure provide platforms through which Ghana can support the development of nuclear human capacity, not only for Ghana, but of course for the rest of it. It is my candid continental resilience for the deployment and use of nuclear energy. Africa possesses the resource that no continent can match. It's people. It's people. You know why? Because by 2050, half of Africa's population will be under 25. And I'm just wondering, just get out and it's all young boys or young women all over the place. But that is the reality that is coming. So by 2050, half of our population in Africa is going to be 25 years old. And this, for me, is not a challenge to Africa. It must be an opportunity that we need to seize. So Africa's youth are our greatest asset in building a nuclear workforce. They will be adaptable, eager to learn and ready to embrace the challenges of a new industry. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, international cooperation is not a luxury in the nuclear sector. It is a necessity. Luckily, we have the IAEA. Through its technical cooperation program, they play an important and central role in supporting human resource development across Africa. As mentioned earlier, the AFRA program provides a framework for regional collaboration. The These institutions offer the required opportunity to build a network of countries with a common purpose of providing clean, low-carbon electricity for the development of the continent. The United States of America has been a very steadfast partner in this journey throughout. Through the Department of Energy's Office of Nuclear Energy, the first program that I referred to has demonstrated that the United States is a committed partner for Africa's nuclear future. This is the kind of enduring partnership that we need. One that spans generations, a partnership that invests in people and that builds relationships to push technology and deployment. As our deliberations unfold here in Accra today, let us remember that the engineers who will be part of the design cohort for Africa's nuclear power plant are in the classroom today, burning the midnight candle to be experts of the future. The technicians who will operate them are in vocational training programs. The regulators who would ensure their safety are in university laboratories. The leaders who will guide them are in leadership workshops as we have today, learning from experience as professionals and preparing for the challenges ahead. There are nuclear these will be the nuclear workforce of Africa. They would be the people who will turn ambition into reality. They are the ones who will constitute the foundation of a future that is cleaner, more prosperous, and more secure. The journey is long, but the destination is clear. Africa would build its nuclear workforce. And with that workforce, Africa will build its future. This is not a task for governments alone. It is a task for educators, industry leaders, international organizations, and of course, the young people across the continent. It is a task that everyone who believes in Africa can and must own its own nuclear future. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I wind towards ending this welcome, let me avail once more to the theme of this summit and to state categorically that Africa's nuclear ambition will ultimately be judged not merely by how many reactors we build, but by whether we develop the human and institutional capacity to operate them safely, securely, efficiently, and sustainably over generations. Together, we will build the workforce that will power Africa's future. I thank each and every one of you distinguished delegates from across Africa and around the world for being here. I thank you for bringing your expertise, your passion, and your hope. And therefore, in the spirit of a shared ambition, shared responsibility, and shared African progress, I warmly welcome you to Accra, Ghana, and to the US-Africa Energy Summit 2026 edition. And of course, welcome to the future that we are building together. God bless my homeland, Ghana. God bless the continent of Africa. And God bless the US-Africa partnerships. Thank you very much.
I think we can do better than this. This speech is more than a welcome address. So many things came up. I don't want to even attempt to summarize. That would be too difficult. But some few things came up. The fact that 600 million of Africans lack access to electricity. And this is certainly going to affect or undermine the quality of life. This is something we have to be serious about. Again, you mentioned that Africa is looking up to nuclear power, as the panacea. But then, you caution, we should think boldly, but act responsibly. And the fact that a few years to come, over 70% of Africans will be 25 years. This is huge manpower to our advantage. And finally, what shook me, that Ghana is ready, aren't we? It was in 1964 that the first president of the Republic, Osagyefo, laid the foundation stone for nuclear power. So in other words, we are 60 years behind schedule. But from what Professor Abdullahi Baba Salifu have told the whole world, Ghana is ready. And indeed, Ghana is ready. Thank you very much, sir, for the welcome.
Voices of the two earlier speakers, so you're going to have to bear with my wimpy voice here, though. Okay, honorable ministers, distinguished guests, colleagues, friends, good morning. It is a pleasure to be with you here in Accra. I want to thank our host here in Ghana for organizing the 2026 U.S. African Nuclear Energy Summit, or affectionately known by us as USANES. Having the privilege of attending the first two summits, it is wonderful to be back here in Ghana where this journey began, and to reconnect with colleagues and friends from across the continent. What is particularly exciting about this third USANES is the momentum we are seeing. Across Africa, countries are taking increasingly concrete steps to explore, develop, and deploy nuclear energy. And as we've already heard this morning, Ghana is ready, and I think a number of other countries within the African continent are ready as well. And across the United States, we are moving with renewed urgency to expand our own nuclear capabilities and strengthen our partnerships across the world. There could not be a more consequential time for this discussion and conversation here. It is an incredibly exciting time to be involved in nuclear energy. Never before in my 40-year career in nuclear energy have I seen this level of momentum or this level of support across our federal government within the United States, from the White House to Congress, for expanding nuclear energy in the United States. On May 23rd, 2025, President Trump issued 4 executive orders directing the U.S. government and the Department of Energy, from where I come in particular, to take decisive action to unleash American nuclear energy renaissance. The message was clear to us. We need to move quickly and decisively to revitalize our nuclear sector. In just a little over a year, we witnessed an unprecedented transformation in our nation's approach to delivering on nuclear power. Next generation reactor technologies are advancing toward testing and deployment at a remarkable speed. Licensing processes are being streamlined. Our domestic nuclear fuel supply chain is being strengthened. Retired nuclear plants are moving toward restart, while utilities are also pursuing opportunities to increase the generation from their existing fleet. America's nuclear energy renaissance is truly underway. And having lived through some of those failed renaissance, I'm really hesitant to talk about a renaissance, but I think we are really moving forward on a renaissance right now. Perhaps nowhere is the new sense of urgency more visible than in the reactor pilot program that we established within the Department of Energy. Under President Trump's executive orders, DOE was directed to leverage its authorities to accelerate the research, development, and testing of advanced reactor technologies, with the ambitious goal of having at least 3 advanced reactors reach criticality by July 4th, 2026, a little over a month ago. I will note, I was very skeptical about could we do that in basically less than a year's time. But the Department of Energy responded by establishing the reactor pilot program to streamline the testing and accelerate deployment of advanced reactor technologies. On August 12th of last year, 11 projects were selected to pilot their designs through this new pathway. I am proud to report that the program delivered. From when the reactors were accepted into that program in August